Okay, now that Mayor's back, we will call the meeting to order. First item is the prayer and pledge of allegiance. And if you don't mind doing that for us?
Yep, we can do that. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much for this wonderful day, Lord. Just thank you for this opportunity to be here, Lord, and just thank you for the minds that you've given us, Lord. Just help us to use them. Lord, we just thank you for this community that we serve, Lord. Just bless each one, Lord. Just give us wisdom in the day-to-day dealings, Lord, and just let us seek you first and foremost. Again, we thank you for what you've done for each of us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. Pledge of allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, our next item is approval of the minutes from the November 14, 2022 regular meeting. Have those in your packet.
I so move.
I'll second.
Okay, Darla, if you do the roll.
Sordahl,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Durr,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes. Next item, approved minutes from the November 22nd special meeting.
I would move approval.
Okay, we have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, Darla?
Williams,
Yes.
Durr,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Anderson,
Yes.
Sordahl.
Yes.
Okay, did we have any petitions from the audience? Don't
None that I
believe so.
know of.
And then our report from the Chamber of Commerce. Barbara's not here, but Houston, do you want to say anything, or?
I can enlighten you guys on kind of some of the things that's going on with the chambers. You all know, January 1st, Barbara will be stepping down, and I'll take over on the 3rd. And so we have a lot of things going on during this time. Behind the scenes, I've been working to revamp our board. And so we have some new members that will be coming onto the board, some remaining on, some will be moving to an advisory board. So we basically just revamped the whole thing. We also are making changes to our bylaws, currently being reviewed by attorney. And then we'll take those bylaws into our first meeting and our first actual board meeting, which will be January the 11th, and go in and approve those bylaws and make any changes we need to make at that time. Save the date. I'll be sending out an email today. In January the 19th, we're going to have a first annual PACC Gala event. And in that event, we'll introduce our board members, we'll give out awards for the year, and then also we're going to give a special award to Barbara that night as well, Outstanding Lifetime Achievement Award. Also, we will have a keynote speaker out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. His name is Steve Gillian. He's a World Hall of Fame speaker. I've seen this individual twice, built a relationship with him, and asked him to come down and speak with us. And it'll be entertaining and motivational for us. And so this will be a formal event, not black tie, just a really nice event. We'll have dinner, sit-down dinner, and so on and so forth. So this will be an annual event every single year going forward. And then February 1st, you can get on the calendars, we have the State of the City address, which will be out at the Mid-America Expo. And then I have tentatively on the calendar for March the 2nd, that would be State of the Park with Mr. Dave Stewart. And then we have several dates set, and I'm working to fill those dates now. State of the Schools will be in October. And then along the way, we hope to have State of the County, State of the Chamber, just a lot of states. So, and then also we'll be doing a whole bunch of things as far as kind of revamping the whole program, looking at where we're at, what the chamber should be doing, how we should be moving forward, and working to improve our commerce, economic development, and tourism as well. And then just so you guys know, effective that same day that I start, Yvette Barham will be going to work for me as well. And so we'll both go in the office the same day, and I'm excited about working with her, so very excited. Any questions?
Where is the gala being held?
It'll be at the fairgrounds.
At the fair?
Yes, yeah. we've got everything reserved. We're working on the food and everything. In fact, I'm going to meet with Jenny here in a little bit and get some ideas from her, but there'll be a save the date come out today. But this will be a really big event, and we hope that it'll get momentum as we go each year, not only to recognize outstanding board members and volunteers and businesses and things, but also to recognize and give an update on a vision where we go each year, kind of a celebration, and then where we're headed. And then having the keynote speaker this year is really big, I think, because it'll also bring some value to, to what we're doing and what we're trying to do.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Any other questions?
Looking forward to working.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, Main Street.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you. Feels like a long time, but it has not been at all. So, just to give a quick update since we met last. So we had our Lights on Downtown event where we were able to showcase the very first downtown Christmas tree. So that's a lot of fun and a great addition to have downtown. We were able to do a Shop Small Saturday event. So we filled 40 bags with just special coupons from all the downtown retail stores. And those, we had a line waiting before we opened and they were gone in 20 minutes. So that's something super exciting. And then another thing that I shared at council last Tuesday that I thought you guys would appreciate would just be some numbers on impact of what that does for our retail stores whenever we have these events as far as their sales. So the bookstore on average in the past year compared to non-events to whenever we have these, they have 125% increase, Robin's Nest 165%, and Daydreamer 278% increase in sales. So those are some direct numbers of how that affects the stores and their bottom line, and we're excited to be able to ask the other retailers downtown too how it affects them. We've also completed a webinar on how to register the district and the Castle Theater on the National Register of Historic Places. We completed the TAP grant application that we've all known about and talked about for a long time, and the resolution from the city was officially approved at Tuesday's council, so that's due the 15th, so that'll be turned in this week. We've also worked on the Castle Theater Committee, Main Street, through the Main Street program, because we have one here. We get architectural services for Method Design Group to come down, and they really took a look at for several hours the Castle Theater. So within the next couple of weeks, they're going to have design plans to be able to show us based off of what he thinks is, the ability of what that building can do / historical integrity, because that's what he focuses on. And another building downtown that we've been working with the owners, it's the old Western Auto building. So we've been working with them with some interior grant possibilities and facade grant possibilities. And then so that they can completely renovate the inside and the facade, because that's going to be upper floor housing, which is going to be a really great addition. And they say on average per adult that lives in a downtown corridor, that's an extra $7,000 per year that goes to directly to stores within that district. So that's something really exciting that we have been working with them on. Coming up this week, we're going to meet with Adam so that we can align. I know later in this meeting we're going to talk about the MOA, but so that we can align the EDTA's goals with what our goals and have a plan going into the new year, especially with that funding. And our annual board planning retreat meeting is going to be in January, so we'll be able to sit down with our board and just kind of pass along information and get exactly what that means for us and what that means in the upcoming year. And then another thing that we have almost completed, not completed enough where I wanted to give it to all you guys today, because there's probably some errors in there, but soon you will be able to get it. We've gone through and looked at the past year and completely laid out everything that's fit within the design and all the 4 points. I know you guys got a small little piece of it at the presentation, but this is something, if you ever wanted to take the time, you could look back and see what we've done in the last year, plans that we have in the future, working with you guys, and just other plans outside of it. Exactly what's laid out for partnerships, what that means when they partner with us, what that means for them, and also an entire event calendar. So we're not ready to give that to you because obviously we want to have our planning meeting, but within the coming months, we're excited to get that for you. So that's what's happened in the last 4 weeks. So let me know if you have any questions, and I hope I'll answer them. I don't know. It's been a wild ride.
Any questions for Jenny? Okay.
We did extend the Castle Theater Ad hoc Committee out to
Yes.
March 31st, and we're assuming that that's enough time to be able to hear back from that architectural design folks.
Yeah, he said it should be back by Christmas.
Okay.
So we should be able to have that report back from him by Christmas, and then that'll give us the little over 3 months to go to the next step on that. So
Very
he
good.
said typically it's a few weeks process, but they moved us up because our state director thought that this was an important project. So we're the first on their list to get done, and he said this is an extensive project, so it's a week further. So we could have got it sooner, but he is taking the time on this one. So it's exciting. I'm really
So what are you expecting in the next couple of weeks with regards to the Castle Theater?
So we received design assistance through State Main Street with an architect, and they came and did, he basically had this machine that can scan the walls so he can tell how thick the walls are, the structural integrity of the walls, and so he can have, not, obviously it's not construction documents, but design concepts that fit historical integrity of the Castle Theater / the architectural integrity of the Castle Theater, of what's possible for it, and a general cost estimate to get it back up to where it would need to be.
And you said then, once we have that, we'll be ready for the next step. What do you see as the next step?
We have a lot of moving parts with this, so one being registering it on the National Register of Historic Places. And then there's a couple directions that we've discussed going towards with groups that I don't know that they're ready to have their name out there yet. So depending on what the architect says, that kind of determines the direction we go. And I'll definitely share as soon as I can further.
That'll be a report probably comes from that ad hoc committee.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
I definitely don't want to speak for them, but that gives a general update in a sense.
Okay, thank you.
Who's looking at conjuring up money for any of these ideas? This ad hoc committee?
Okay, our next item is a report and discussion with Buddy Glenn with the street department about traffic count devices. This came out of the EDTA and Main Street's MOU or MOA and trying to figure out what was the best process for getting those traffic counts that we need for downtown. And Mayor asked Buddy to do some research, and I think he's done that and come up with some solutions.
Well, I sent the mayor, of course, again, traffic counting implements it. I mean, that's what they are for, is to count traffic, the vehicle traffic in certain areas. Traffic counting machines, it can benefit, everybody in Pryor. MUB with the EDTA, Pryor Chamber, Main Street, the community development, retail businesses. It even assists in street repair. It finds out, how long that that street's been around, how much traffic, for the repair on it. It may need, come up where it may need more repair than what some of these other streets do. But one of the benefits of that, it kind of helps you get all your ducks in a row. You need all the information that you can to make a decision for any type of development that you have. Just a short little story here. You may not want to listen to it, but I mean, it's something that helps me kind of explain it. There was a gentleman one time, he was trying to sell a horse. He advertised it and said that the horse don't look too good. So, and only had $100 on it. So he goes up there, and this one gentleman said, well, it can't be much, but we'll go look at it anyway. So he goes and looks at the horse, and he said, and looked around, and he said, so what's the problem? He said, well, you don't look it too good. Well, okay, but he walked around, well, for $100, he said, I'll give you $100 for it. I mean, that's a horse, and we use it for something. So he took it home and turned the horse out loose, and that horse run into everything that he had out there, the barn, fences, posts, and everything. Come to find out, that horse was just as blind as a bat. So we went back to the gentleman, he said, hey, you just sold me a blind horse. He said, what's the deal? He said, I told you it don't look it too good. So, again, you got to get all your information before you do your purchases and stuff. One of the most beneficial things, advantages of retail traffic counting is the ability to measure, marketing campaign performances. Higher traffic counts are reflective, effective marketing campaigns and everything that's in action to that. One thing you need to know that your daily traffic. Your ADDT stands for your average annual daily traffic. So if you hear that, that's what that means. Industrial standard AADT shows the typical vehicle traffic per day in front of your location. That's something that most business owners would like to know. Anytime that they have like Jeannie was talking about, if you had coupons, you had run a sale, you want to be able to know when your either highest or lowest traffic count is. And sometimes, you may be having something, it may be the moms, stay-at-home moms, maybe you want to run a special sometime during the day or in the evening, but you want to know what the traffic count is for that. But knowing that the AADT is like knowing the number of residents in your market. You must be aware of this number to understand your maximum customer reach. If 100% of the customers who drove past your business stopped and spent $10, how much money would you make per day? Would it cover your daily costs? If you can't cover your costs with every single vehicle stopping and spending money, which is highly unlikely, you probably shouldn't locate on that road. And one thing about traffic devices, it gives the buyer or the retail business owner kind of an idea of how many vehicles will be going past their business. You need to reach your customers at the right time of the day. Again, no matter whether it's in the morning, evening, but that's something that we have to look at. And a lot of times you could get 3,000 people drive up and down that road, but that's not mean 3,000 people is going to stop at your business. Here's a scenario that I just pulled off the internet, and I think it kind of makes a little sense. It says, let's consider a scenario. Say you're opening a coffee shop for morning commuters, and you're looking for a heavily trafficked street to locate on, which that makes sense. You look around and finally find a strong prospect with one of these streets is 12,000 vehicles per day. It's priced right, and it seems to be in good condition. It's a great location, right? Getting all of our information. Well, maybe that 12,000 vehicles could be evenly spread throughout the day, cutting the morning traffic down to 3,000. Still not bad, but though considered the traffic at other locations may show that while other locations have a lower morning traffic counts are higher than 3,000. But it also, with these counting of the traffic, it helps get on the right side of the street, I guess you would say. Again, let's look at this example. You found a location with high morning traffic, great, but you're not done yet. You need to know which side of the street you need to buy. But before you can nail this one thing down, morning commuters generally head in one direction, going towards work. Often this is towards an urban area away from residential streets. And if you've chosen the wrong side of the street, you're erecting a huge obstacle between yourself and your customers. For your customers, again, if you're on the wrong side of the street, they may see your sign across from a busy road. Well, how many people is going to turn around if you're going somewhere? It may be good coffee, but again, there's something else on down the road. They may be having to wait to get across the street. Sometimes crossing a street requires a U-turn that causes them to go backwards away from their final destination. Well, am I finally going to be able to go ahead and get this coffee, or do I need to get on down the road? But finally, they're on their way back to work. Again, you may have to get all your information together. Well, to tell you right now, there's a lot of effort for a $3 a cup of coffee. Instead of causing that collective hassle and inefficiency, you should instead aim to be on the same side of the street as your customers are. So if your coffee shop's on the wrong side of the street and a competitor moves in on the other side, then you're in for a difficult fight. So again, that's something you need to nip in the bud right away. Get all your information, and traffic counting is one of those things which helps. So that's just what I kind of looked up, and I'm sure there's lots of questions. I'll probably try to answer some, but I'm not much of a speech giver.
Mr. Chairman, when you sent me information about the traffic count and whatnot, I understand that we didn't have that equipment with our street department, but we do have plans to purchase that equipment. So it would be available for municipal utility board, it would be available for our street department, for EDTA, for Main Street, for Chamber of Commerce, for anybody else even the school system, if they wanted to request those counts. So it could be something that'd be very useful for many people around
Is this
town.
A guy in a pickup sitting there, one.
Well, I already offered to put out on a 5-gallon bucket on each side, with a piece of paper and a pencil and sharpener, just.
You know, but traffic counts is huge to prospective businesses.
Yes.
When Daryl and your wife was head of Main Street for a while, she came to me with a business that she wanted to put in. And so she said, go see if you can get them here. And the first thing they said, you have to have 25,000 vehicles passing by you in front of it. There's only one place in town that does that, and that's on 69 right there on 20. Traffic count's huge in trying to lure business. You know, there's a piece of property out here just east of Elliott, and the guy advertises that 6,000 vehicles pass by it in front of it every day. It's for sale, trying to lure somebody in. You're not going to get anybody for 6,000 vehicles a day. I mean, anything big. Traffic count is huge to know where these businesses want to go. They don't just pick a spot and do it. It's very strategic, and I think that will go a long way with us trying to help business come to town.
Now, the Department of Transportation does have data available.
Yeah.
You get on their website and you can find it update from 2018.
18, yeah.
So
Yeah.
And it's only on,
do us a whole lot of good, right?
on 20 and 69.
Yeah, there's one out there
Yeah,
on
there is
69
one.
right now.
Well, I talked to Christine Spence, and I mean, once they get all theirs done, when they finally get around to updating they do have other information, they just have not updated it yet. So, I mean, I wouldn't recommend if we purchase something, maybe put it on the highway for us that, I mean, that's a lot of traffic goes up through, but I mean, for us doing the residential streets and business areas here downtown, I mean, yeah, that's those that wouldn't, we'd have to come in at night, set them up. I mean, we couldn't really do it during the daytime. But we do have a set down there, but again, I want to say they're 45 years old. We did a count down on Cherokee Street there by the Okie Dokie, and we had a count of 35,000 vehicles within a couple of days. And I don't think there was 35,000 vehicles through there, so we decided we was needing some. And they've got digital and everything, but I mean, I'm looking at just the plain and simple.
Yeah.
It's a tube barrier goes across. Whatever the total count is, you divide it by 2. And that gives you your total count for that point. And I mean, you can go out certain hours a day if you want a morning count for a couple hours. I mean, yeah, it's going to take some foot labor to do that, but I mean, it's not a big deal. You can set it out at a certain time, come back, clear it, get that, and record that down and just go on from there. You can leave it for 1 day, up to 7 days, I think it is for us. I mean, or if you want it longer, but usually most of the time what I've read upon within 7 days, you're going to get your pretty well accurate information that you're looking for.
That was going to be my question, was how intensive is it going to be on your department? And once you have them in place, like if you're doing a traffic count, say for EDTA and Main Street, can we get it set up to where, like, we ask you where to put it, and then I don't think we mind going and doing some of the legwork to get the readings, if that's something that you're willing to let us do, so that it's not so intrusive.
No, it's fine,
on your
because it's just a little machine over here on the side that we'll have. That's another thing that we have to look for. Here lately, there's been all kinds of vandalism, stealing, and people, you could take a hammer to it, and, I mean, you could just easily destroy it. But again, that's something that, we have to, I guess, take chances and stuff on. But yeah, I mean, you can just go through whatever you want to set it at. If you want a time between 7 a.m., 9 a.m., go down there and reset it. Go ahead and take your reading if you had from the night before or something, but, go down and reset it, and then from 7 to 9, go back down at 9 o'clock and write your readings down.
I think that would be the biggest thing for our purpose, is setting it and kind of getting a pattern for it, and like reading it that morning at noon, so we can tell those businesses, this is the traffic count during these hours. So, when you get them in, I think we'd just like to sit down with you and kind of map out what that would look like, so that we can take as much of that burden ourselves on
Yeah.
reading it, if we can get the help putting them out.
Well, they make them, I mean, they make anywhere from $200 up, several $1,000s. But I mean, those are, I don't say really high tech, but I mean, a lot of times I look at it, if you get too high tech, there's things that can mess up on them.
I would think the simpler the better.
This is just a simple thing. It's a tube counter, and they're under $500 for complete sets.
So, Mr. Moore, it's just one step above somebody on a bucket keeping track. It's an automated
That's
bucket.
funny. I've done it numerous times. They still do that. And you know why they do that is because they want the turning movements, because these only get the straight through traffic. A lot of businesses want the turning movements. So that's why they do it, and they do it every 15 minutes. They can get a count every 15 minutes of how many people turned right and how many people turned left. So yeah, you think it's funny, that's how it's still done.
So if I'm standing out on a street corner counting cars,
But
you
I'm in
guys
my
are gonna
truck.
laugh at me.
I'm in my truck when I was doing it, 12 hours a day.
You didn't raise your hand, you're putting more work on me now.
No, I'm not doing that. I mean, you need to realize too that you want to do it non-holiday
Yeah.
because you're not going to get an accurate count.
Right.
Just put Path Killer out there sitting on a bucket with one of those clickers, and he can just count cars.
No comment. No comment.
So any other questions anybody has for Buddy?
Does ODOT do like Highway 20 and 69?
69 and 20, yes. A lot of times what they'll do, they'll put a counter out east and west of town. They won't be here in town. And like I said, they have some right now, and I don't know if they have any north of town. I know they do out here south of town. I don't know what that exactly is for. But again, you know, on something like that, if the city would call, I guess ODOT, you know, maybe request something like that for us. But most of the time they do, at least I think it's once or twice a year, what I understand. And like I said, of course, the last time it was updated was in 2018. But I mean, if you go back through the years and look, I mean, there's some that just depending, I mean, they're holidays and things like that. But I'm sure that if we just called Christine Spence, I think it's her last name.
Yes, it is.
Read now.
Is it Reed? Okay. Christine Reed, I'm sure that, you know, we'd work things out where she could probably maybe accommodate, you know, setting them up on the highway for us, so. Anything else?
I don't
Thank
think
you.
so. Thank you very much.
Thank you, buddy.
So our next item is discussion of the MOA with Main Street. Part of asking Mr. Glenn to come in and talk was to get everybody on the right page and headed in the right direction of fulfilling those obligations that we have with the MOA. You know, we're not going to talk as long as Jenny and I ended up on at the city council, but we'll talk as long as we need to. I think it was a good effort on all parts. I think it's going to be a good avenue for the EDTA to fulfill our role. But like Jenny said, I am going to meet with her later this week to map out some things with the MOA, the traffic counts, some of the reporting that we need to be able to have. So if any of you have any suggestions or want to have any input on that, if you would send an email to Jenny and I, just so we have that on our list, so we can kind of figure out where we're going to put that piece in our reporting. But it is a big step that we've done this, and it's big that we could reach out to the city and that mayor could use the resources and that Buddy's willing to come in and talk with us, and everybody is getting on the same page. I think that's what the purpose of this is. So like I said, I'm not going to talk very long, but if you guys have any questions specifically on it, Jenny's here to help answer them, or
Well, it seems to me it'd be important for you all to get together, to put the generalities together. Find out some specifics, generalities, any ideas that can be shared. And it would seem to me the appropriate thing at some point in time then would be have a joint meeting between the trust and Main Street. So both entities can work together and decide, okay, which routes do we want to go down and send this money. So I would say the initial meeting to work the formula together, and then a joint meeting, so all of the trust and all of Main Street is together to make a decision to where that goes.
anybody else have any comments or questions on that MOA before we?
I have one question, and it's.
Okay.
My pea brain is not working properly this morning, but under Section 7, the yearly retainer payment upon renewal of agreement, it says EDTA shall pay to the Main Street an additional yearly retainer. Now, this is with reference to a renewal. We're not talking about an additional payment beyond the services in Section 6, are we? Section 7 contemplates an adjusted amount of compensation, not in addition to the numbers that we're looking at in Section 6. Am I reading that correctly?
You're reading that correctly,
Okay.
yes. At renewal, when the presentation is made to EDTA, setting what the payment amounts will be for the next year, and it could contemplate and include an additional fee for a retainer. That was part of the reason for the $25,000 was we are so far into the year we're doing this over a 6-month period. But, we may map this thing out and in June have a big project that's coming up that, yes, we'll still do the 5,000, but we need to fund this project. And that gives us the ability to do that within the scope of the
I
MOA.
just want to make sure that I was understanding. We're not talking about two different sections
No,
of compensation. We're talking about the initial compensation that's itemized here, and then any renewals after that would be amended by agreement between the parties.
correct.
So, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, if there's no other discussion on that, any unforeseeable business?
I just have a question. A bit with was it softball and Cherokee Nation, did all that come together?
It is still in the process. They submitted the final application to Cherokee Nation, and I've talked to softball and to Danny. That's going through the process. I have not heard what action that the Jock Mayer Foundation has taken yet.
So we have not expended any money?
We have not expended any money now.
I don't know if it's.
Oh, go ahead.
Y'all was just talking about the softball stuff, like I said, I was with them, coached, and my daughters, both of them have been in there for like over 22 years. At one time, out on, I guess it'd be Northeast First Street, there was a gentleman at one time, I think it was offered either it was 10 acres or 20 acres, to give to the city of Pryor if they would take it over and build softball fields on it. Now, at one point, the city was not able or didn't want to take into the city to maintain all those. But I don't know if that was still, if that's something that he was still, because it's still empty, there's nothing over there, it's just a hay pasture. But it's just east of where the soccer fields, on their corner of Gaither and Northeast First. Be on the northeast side of the road.
Okay.
I don't know if that gentleman still would be willing to do that, but as a softball, we didn't have the money to be able to, to build those. That's why, like I said, we would try to update whatever we had out here. But, that's something, they were talking about some place to build them. I mean, if it's 10, 20 acres, I mean, that'd be quite complex if you build something out there.
So what softball is doing right now is putting new fencing around the existing complex that they have and revamping it. But that's a good spot to keep an eye on. Know that. Okay. Anything else? Well, not, we can adjourn. We need a motion and a second.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, if you do the roll, please.
Dirk? Yes. Moore?
Yes.
Miller?
Do you want to leave?
Yeah.
Miller?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Swordall?
I don't think it's Gary.
Williams?
Yes.
We want that.